It is 8 a.m. on a Monday. I sit in the front row of my enriched math class behind a desk tattooed in carvings of names that tells the story of a generation of past owners. It was a class designed by the school board for the kids who, quote, wanted an extra challenge in math. The bell has rung, but our instructor is not here, so the brown-haired girl behind me asks, if our teacher's not here in the next 15 minutes, we get to leave, right? No. Though I doubt that would stop a few of you from trying it anyway, it's the one period a day where I feel like I fit in, where I feel like I understand the stories of everyone around me, like that of the boy who traveled halfway across this country to be in this classroom, who spent his first 2 weeks in silence. It wasn't until he was ever called upon that he said his first word. He tells us how he wasn't allowed to enter the second grade because the only language he could speak at the time was Korean, how his teachers thought if they couldn't understand him, he didn't have anything useful to say, how if they limited his potential right now, he would never try to let it flower in the future. He smiles and tells us how they were wrong. Or the girl who answers all of her questions in poetry. How the words, "this was not the assignment" on tops of tests and projects means less to her about playing the wrong notes and more about writing her own song. It is 8:05. And I'm drawn to the smile of the boy who once told us in shared time how he tried to kill himself in the 8th grade but couldn't bring himself to it because he didn't want to let down his best friend. I looked to his best friend, he laughed at the ground, and I almost forget the stories he told us about the abuse he received the day he came out to the whole grade as gay, or the girl who always felt like she was a target, so she dyed her light hair with red streaks and decided to embrace it is 8:10. And I looked from the clock to my best friend. I jumped back to the day he told me how he had to lower his own mother of 3 into the ground before he was old enough to learn the name of the disease that killed her, before he was old enough to learn that death had a shadow. He used to go to church every week, but now it's just a reminder of his grief. He asks me, how can God take a mother away from her children before hearing their first words? How can she trust them to stand up for themselves without ever seeing them on their feet? I tell him, I don't know. And from that moment on, he stayed silent. He found joy in spending his newfound free time studying, and I watched his marks jump from C's to B's to A's to this day. He is still the best reminder that life goes on, even when everything else seems to stop. I recall how a handful of us were diagnosed with learning disabilities because we didn't fit into the boxes on the grid our school systems classified as normal, how we were the social outcasts, the systematic nightmares our teachers dreaded dealing with, but we found each other and stuck together because we are stronger in numbers, and there is no place on earth I would rather be. It is 8:15. Our teacher still is not here, so the brown-haired girl behind me asks once more, it's been 15 minutes, we get to leave, right? And all I can think is, why would you want to?